I need to check on my phone and do a sound check just to make sure that I can actually hear everything. And I can't because Twitch is not working because my app is updating. So we're just gonna do one of these. We're gonna open it over here. We're gonna go to Twitch. Creator or Stream Manager. Okay, it does say I'm live. All right, give me a hello.
Hello, hello,
All right, give me a hello.
hello, hello.
All right, I think there was a weird echo in there because it was pulling my desktop audio, but whatever. We're good. F101, week one of F101. We're here. We're doing it again. It's just me and Andrew this week. Nate might show up. I don't know if he ended up having to work or not. He said he might have gotten rained out. So I will text him.
Oh,
I'll text him really quick. Uh, we're starting if you're avail. All right. Now, there are a few things we have to do first. Before we get started. So this week is week one. We're gonna do an F1 refresher. We're gonna do a testing review along with a bit of an off-season news kind of deal in the refresher. And we're gonna do. I asked everyone, I obviously asked myself. I asked Andrew, Nate, and Sam. Nate and Sam are not here to give me one bold prediction for the season. Sam gave me like 4 or 5. So I wrote all of Sam's down, but I'm gonna keep. But I asked him to pick one of his predictions to trump the others. Um, but before we do anything, we have some administrative stuff to go over. We're gonna stream every session this year for real. At the very least, we're gonna try. I kind of gave up last year when schedules started getting busier. I'm gonna try and stick to it, even if it's just me. I'm gonna try my best, and we'll see what happens. I may upload these to YouTube. I'm gonna try. I tried last year, and I couldn't figure it out. So but that's a later issue. That's not, not immediate. Uh, so that's the first administrative business. The second is I changed the pick the podium scoring. I changed the right place, wrong position point from 5 to 8. So now if you get
okay.
all 3 people right, but in the wrong positions, you get 24 points instead of 15. And
Mm,
you would be only 1 point behind someone who got first place right and second and third completely wrong. I thought that was fair. And that's going to be
that
the
seems fair,
scoring for
yeah.
the yeah, that's going to be the scoring for the year. And if it changes, if it doesn't work at all, and we need to bump it up more, we'll do that next year. I don't want to change it in the middle of the year. It's too complicated. On the pick the podium, I did start messing around with some stats and some percentages and stuff like that. But and I'm gonna keep up to date on the stats each week as opposed to doing it all at the end because that was a nightmare. And the final piece of administrative news, and this is the most exciting, F101 will be live from Austin October 16th through the 20th. We're going to be there. I don't know if we're going to stream live. That's like the last thing to figure out in regards to the trip. We're still trying to figure out lodging and transportation, but we're going to be there. We've got tickets to the race. We're going to be in the general admission. It's going to be super fun. I'm super excited. Um, and we may or may not be live from Austin. We'll be there. And I'll be updating my social media, like for my personal friends. But I don't know if F101 in this format will be there. But the people will be there. And so that is super exciting. So that might be the only, if we manage to stream every week, that might be the only week we don't get to because we'll be busy flying and and trying to figure out how transportation works and stuff like that. Oops. Um,
How do you rent a car?
how do you rent a car? I don't know. I've never rented a car in my entire life.
I actually know how
Um,
to do that, so we're set.
I think it can't be. How hard can it possibly be?
I've done it before. I've just done it through work, so I just have to go do it through National's website instead.
Right. We'll figure
I'm
it
just wondering
out.
if I can get the work discount too.
Ooh, that'd be nice. I would like to. We need an SUV because we got big
Mm-hmm.
boys and we got 4 of us. But I think we only need one car. Anyway, that's we'll figure that out. That's not for the stream. They don't need to know our plans. All right,
I
so
mean, stream could be fun. Stream could help us plan.
stream could help us plan. No one's in stream, but whatever. Um, yeah. So the F1, all right, F1 refresher, very quick. This is mainly I put it up here for the first page. I try to organize it a little better. This is for everyone. This is so as we pick the podium, mainly for Sam because his memory is not as good. So we know who's on what team. So in the order of the 2024 constructors, McLaren, Lando Norris, and Oscar Piastri, they have not changed. They are one of two teams to not change their whole lineup at all. Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, and Lewis Hamilton. That's obviously the biggest news. Even non-F1 people heard about that. My mom texted me about that. She was like, "Hey, Lewis Hamilton's in a Ferrari." I'm like, "What the? I just woke up. What do you mean?" And then I checked my phone. I was like, "Oh my God, Lewis Hamilton is going to Ferrari." She was like, "I heard it on a Buffalo Bills talk radio. They were talking about it." And that's how you know, like, Lewis Hamilton he's transcending genre. Um, and also because he's a part-time owner of the Broncos. That's why I think they were talking about it. Um, or he's part of the group. Red Bull, Max Verstappen, and Liam Lawson. They ditched Perez because he's terrible, and they're bringing in Lawson, which I don't agree with that decision to bring in Lawson. I agree with ditching Perez. I think Yuki should have gotten it. Justice for Yuki. Mercedes is George Russell and the rookie Kimi Antonelli. Mercedes really think that Kimi Antonelli is the next Max Verstappen. They've said so verbatim. At least Toto Wolff has. So we'll see how that works out. Kimi Antonelli is one of 5 rookies, 6 if you count Lawson. I don't really count Lawson as a rookie. He has uh 11 races under his belt, so he's not like a established driver, but is he really a rookie? I don't know. I don't personally. I don't really think so. He's somewhere in the middle. Aston Martin is the only other driver or the only other team to not change their drivers. They got Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll. Alpine changed their drivers. They have Pierre Gasly still, and they replaced Ocon with Jack Doohan. Racing Bulls rebranded again. They were V-Carb last year. The year before that, they were AlphaTauri for a few years. Whatever. Now they're Racing Bulls, which is don't get me started. They kept Yuki Tsunoda. Last year they had Ricardo, then they swapped him in for Lawson, and then now they have Isaac Hadjar, who is a foul-mouthed rookie. So Racing Bulls have maybe the worst language prone people on the grid with between Yuki and Isaac. Haas, that's Andrew's team, has Esteban Ocon and Ollie Behrman, a rookie who raced twice last year, subbed in for Sainz in the Ferrari and K-Mag in the Haas. And he enjoyed his time in the Ferrari much more, believe it or not. Williams
Shocker.
has Carlos Sainz, who moved from Ferrari to Williams in a baffling move that no one really expected. And Alex Albon, they're keeping Albon. This is a huge year for Alex Albon. He's been destroying his frankly terrible teammates. Latifi and Sargent were terrible. Colapinto was okay. And people really value Alex Albon more because he was doing so well against his teammates. So this will be a good test. Does Sainz blow him out of the water, or is Albon actually good? We'll see. And then Sauber has Nico Hulkenberg, and Gabriel Bortoleto. I believe them and Haas are the only two to completely change their lineup. Their lineup is totally different. Last year they had Bottas and Joe, neither of which are racing. And the Sauber still doesn't look great. And it's ugly too. It's horrible. I hate it. So that is the teams. My team is Racing Bulls and Red Bull by extension. Nate roots for McLaren. Sam is an Alpine fan because I made him pick one, and Andrew's a Haas fan because I made him pick one. But Andrew is also a deep connection to Carolina sports, and Haas is in Carolina. So
Yeah, whether that's good or bad, who knows?
they're in Kannapolis. You ever been to Kannapolis? I haven't.
I can't say I have, to be
There,
honest with you.
there you go. So that is who is on the teams. 2024, very quick review. Lewis to Ferrari was announced at the beginning of the season. That was huge. Verstappen won the drivers. McLaren won the constructors. F1 tried to frame that the drivers came down to the final race. It didn't really. It did mathematically, but anyone who was watching the race knew that that's not how it was going to go. Perez was terrible. They kicked him out. We had 7 different race winners, which is which is really, really exciting, really awesome. It was so fun. And increased reliability in the cars led to a huge safety car drought. I believe it was like 7 or 8 weeks in a row we didn't see the safety car, which is crazy. And safety car is always fun because it switches things up. So that is the quick 2024 review. We've covered 2024. We didn't do it live, but we were doing it in our group chat, and I was updating the document every week anyway. So uh, maybe I'll post it somewhere if this ever gets traction. Um, so off-season news: Lewis to Ferrari Part Two. He actually moved to Italy. Blah blah blah. He started with the team. Everyone loved it. He seems very very happy there. Everyone's very excited for Lewis. Lewis is very excited for Lewis more than anyone, I think. There are some calendar changes. Australia is back to week one instead of Bahrain, and that's because of Ramadan. They moved Bahrain back a few weeks because I don't know what Ramadan is really. I don't want to like. I know there's fasting involved, and I know at least the way it affected F1 was that they couldn't do anything on Sunday or something. Like they had to race on Saturdays. And so instead of dealing with it, they just moved it back past Ramadan. That's all I'm going to talk about Ramadan before I get in trouble.
It
Um,
is, according to Google, it is believed that the Holy Quran was sent down from heaven as guidance for men and women in during this month.
oh, well, good for them. Big month. Uh,
Very big month.
calendar changes. So Spa and others, potentially Monza, which is horrible idea, are on rotation starting. I think it was 2027 or 2028. I don't know for sure. They're toying with the idea of rotating out some of these European tracks to kind of shorten the season because the drivers want less races because it's too much. The teams want less races because it's too much. Um, but F1 wants more races because of money. But they were like, we're gonna put Spa on a rotational deal, and everyone's like, why would you do that? That's everyone's favorite track. Everyone loves Spa. That's my favorite personal track aside from Monza, and it's just baffling. Um, and they're not going to rotate out any of the. They could just get rid of Miami. It's terrible every year. It's not fun to watch. And that's not just because Lando Norris won it last year. It was just not. It's never entertaining. Um, keep Vegas, though. Vegas was surprisingly good. And by God, keep Austin because it's the only one that's affordable. Um, so
God damn.
yeah, Zandvoort is out in 2027. 2026 will be its
Oh,
final year on the calendar. They did not renew their contract. They just added a year extension, and I believe I got to imagine that that has to do with Max Verstappen potentially leaving in 2028. His contract goes to 2028, and he's expressed many times his desire to retire from F1 and to move on to a different type of racing. I don't know if that's really why, but it kind of like I can see that being part of the rationale because if you're Dutch and you have a racetrack, you're going to go there to see Max Verstappen, and you're not really going to go there to see anyone else because they're a lot more because it's so small. I don't know. I feel like European countries are way more nationalistic, like with sports, I guess. Like we're going to the race, but we're not going to the race to see like well, there is no American driver, but if there was, you know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
it makes sense to me,
All right, that's all
but I
that
also know
matters.
you, so
That's a nice. And then Barcelona, I believe, is potentially gone. I remember seeing that somewhere. I don't remember where. I just remember seeing it. Um, Big news in the offseason. Alpine signed Colapinto to their reserve driver. They bought him out for Williams for $5 million, and he's on a 5-year deal with Alpine, which is crazy because they have Jack Doohan. But Jack Doohan is on a 5-race prove it deal, which basically means that 5 races, if he's not good enough, they're kicking him out for Colapinto. And because they spent $5 million on him, I think Doohan would have to I think he's gonna have to win in order to keep his seat, which is super unfair to him. Um, Really too much pressure to put on a rookie, but Alpine's executive advisor, Flavio Briatore, is a piece of shit. He's terrible. He was the guy who did Crashgate, Spygate. He cheats all the time. He was banned from F1 and it was overturned by a French court. And surprise, surprise, Alpine and Renault are French. So we don't have to get into Crashgate. I've explained it like 5 times. I explained it to Hannah today. I explained it to Sam today. I explained it to my boss today. So I don't want to talk about it anymore. Mercedes signs Bottas to reserve. They say no nude calendars. They said you can keep the mullet, but no more nude calendars. And he agreed to that. Foolishly. I want to see more bot ass. Um, Ferrari signed Joe to their reserve. So if Lewis or Leclerc, well, maybe we'll see him again. Uh, but I doubt it. Ferrari has never really had to. Only when Sainz had appendicitis is like the is. So unless it's a freak thing like that, then all right, you caught up. You good?
I'm good.
All right, I'd take a sip of water. Rule changes. There have been some pretty big rule changes. There's actually been more than what I'm about to go over, but these are the ones that are more surface level and kind of more important for the day to day. There is no more point for fastest lap. Previously, if you had the fastest lap and you finished within the top 10, you got a point. They got rid of that this year. Is this fallout from Ricciardo stealing fastest lap from Norris in Singapore? Who knows? I don't think so. I think people would kind of didn't see the point of the fastest lap point in the first place. And maybe this was like the straw on the camel's back to get rid of it. Um, Rookie running and practice sessions are doubled to 4 total sessions. Last year it was only 2, so one in each of your cars. So you had to have Max Verstappen's car in one practice session of the year had to run a brand new rookie. And I believe I believe the qualification is someone who has taken place in less than 4 practice sessions in F1. I think that's what they define it as. So now it's being doubled. So we'll see more rookies in practice, which is fun. It's new names. Um, Rear wing and DRS rules are stricter. This is likely because of McLaren's flexi wing and the mini DRS they had from it from last year, most evidently in Baku. Now they're gonna have it still this year. Teams have until week, I want to say 9 to uh change their wings. The rules don't go into place until week 9. So it gives them time to develop a new wing. And then there's new qualifying rules if the session get rained out, like it almost did in Brazil. If a qualifying session gets rained out, they start the grid in the order of the championship standings, the drivers' standings. So Lando Norris, let's say he's first in the drivers, he'll be on pole. Whoever's second will be second. I think this is kind of dumb. Reverse it. Have some fun. Let the guy who's dead last start on pole for once. Just make chaos. Additionally, if only, let's say it rains out Q3 but not Q2, they'll use the Q2 times to determine the starting order. And finally, Monaco now has 2 required pit stops. You have to take 2 pit stops in Monaco because last year was so god dang boring. Everyone hated it, and it was a one-stop race. And because of the red flag, it was that red flag counted as everyone's pit stop. No one pitted. It was so terrible, and I hate it because Monaco is really boring to watch, and it's the one that falls on my birthday weekend every year, and so I get this boring race to watch on my birthday weekend. Anyway, the 2 required pit stops won't fix anything. You can't fix what's wrong with the Monaco GP, in my opinion. The cars are too big. They're too fast. That you just can't pass. You can't overtake. But they're not going to get rid of it because it's Monaco. That's like F1's flagship. So, whatever. I got a lot of opinions about Monaco. They're not popular opinions. We don't think it's very exciting to watch. So that's the rule changes. All right. Any questions?
No.
All right. Beautiful. F175 review. What a waste of time. Moving on. Testing review. Testing was last weekend. There were 6 4-hour sessions. And each driver gets 3 sessions. So some teams so it's 3 days. Some teams have 1 driver on day 1, 1 driver on day 2. They'll split day 3. Sometimes some teams split every day. It just depends. The fastest to slowest single lap time by team were Williams, Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren, Alpine, Aston Martin, Racing Bulls, Haas. The drivers' fastest to slowest single lap time was Sainz, Hamilton, Leclerc, Russell, Verstappen, Albon, Antonelli, Piastri, Gasly, Stroll, Lawson, Doohan, Tsunoda, Alonso, Ocon, Norris, Bortoleto, Hulkenberg, Behrman. Now everyone sees Williams at the top of the timing sheets. Like, holy crap, Sainz is like, they're so fast, they're so good. This doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. The Williams has always been pretty good on like a 1-lap pace with no pressure. Last year, Sauber was second fastest in testing. And guess what? They were horrible all year. They were so slow. McLaren was 7th in last year's testing, and they ended up being the fastest team. So it's exciting if you're a Williams fan and you're a Carlos Sainz fan. But if you're a Norris fan who got 17th fastest, you're not worried. Um, it provides valuable insights, but it doesn't define the season unless it's your team at the top. If you're a Ferrari fan, second fastest overall for the team, Hamilton, Leclerc, second and third fastest. Hey, it's your year. And if you're a Ferrari fan, you're saying that every year, no matter what. Um, so
They're like the
the,
Dallas Cowboy fans.
exactly, except it's easier to like. It's way easier to like Ferrari than it is to like the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
Um, so yeah, the fastest single times, they're exciting. Ultimately doesn't mean anything. Um, despite like the times not meaning anything, the Haas and the Sauber were really slow, like dismally slow. They looked hard to drive. I mean, I think on day one, Haas was 2 seconds off from the fastest time, which is really bad. It seemed like it was really a struggle to drive. But I think they're gonna do at least better than Sauber. I don't know what's gonna happen with Haas this year. They did really well last year, like for them, but then they switched both of their drivers, and I think they're probably more focused on next year with the new regulations. I don't know what's gonna happen. It's
Mm.
gonna be interesting to see. The first few races of the season will be very telling for Haas, I think.
So what you're telling me is my team is going through a rebuild like all my other teams.
Yes, actually, I would say if Haas is bad, they're probably going through a rebuild. Everyone's kind of going through a rebuild. You can kind of expect teams to start shifting focus to 2026 with the new engine regulations, kind of maybe a third of the way through the year. Um, you'll see maybe more teams kind of start shifting focus. McLaren has probably already shifted focus because their car is the fastest, so they don't need to develop their current car as much. Um, and everyone, I think, already has the new engine regulations, which is why they can develop early. I think they already know what all the rules are going to be.
Mm.
Um, the biggest story of testing, and the biggest story of week one, and the biggest story of week two, and the biggest story of week three are going to be Hamilton and the Mercedes. It's all you were going to hear about is Hamilton and the Mercedes. Or I'm sorry, the Ferrari. The Ferrari. Um, Hamilton's first time, official time, the Ferrari. He was really optimistic about the season. He was more optimistic about the season than he was when he was in Mercedes. He seemed really happy. He seemed really upbeat. Seemed very hopeful after testing with Mercedes, especially in the recent years. Hamilton's like, we're cooked. We're gonna do terrible. So it's interesting to see him so happy. And I get it that it's Ferrari, but if you're Toto Wolff, if you're Mercedes, you gotta feel bad, man. You gotta feel so bad. Like that's your guy, and it's like seeing your ex with someone who's way more attractive than you.
Jesus.
Sorry, that's never happened to me because I'm hot, but whatever.
Uh-huh.
And it hasn't happened to you because I've seen who your ex married. Sorry. uh,
God damn.
she downgraded. Anyway, moving on. Williams posting the fastest one lap time is typical of Williams. They're good over a lap. When it comes to race pace. It's kind of where they fall off. Unless they're just good now. They could just be good now. I don't think so, but they could be. Um, in fact, McLaren, when everyone did a race simulation, McLaren ended up having the fastest race pace. In testing, which is a great sign for them. But it's not necessarily a terrible thing for the other teams. It just means McLaren will probably get out of the gate faster than anyone else, which everyone kind of expected anyway. Um, Haas had some really weird issues. Uh, Part of Behrman's car just came off on day three. Like the part that was covering his engine just flew off, just tore up and flew off with no explanation. It was really bizarre. And they had to bring him in. He didn't get as much laps in that session because they had to fix the car because part of the car flew off. I don't know how that happens in an F1 car. That's never happened to me in a normal car. So I don't understand what happened. It was really weird. There was some weird stuff happening this testing. Uh, no one crashed, which is like a first, but there were all these weird red flags. There was a power outage on day two. There was rain on day two. The glass window where they waved the checkered flag at the end of the race exploded for like no reason. And they had to stop the session to clean all the glass off the track. There was a random bus on the track on day three. Just randomly, there was a bus. And for no reason. Why was there a bus? No one's been able to answer why there was a bus. Except for everyone
Who's in
joking that,
charge of this thing? They're
uh,
failing.
well, you bring up an interesting point because people aren't very happy with who is in charge of F1 right now. But that's for a different time. Um, a lot of people made jokes that about the bus. They said, "Come on, man, it's just Sauber. They're trying their hardest, but whatever." It was funny at the time. Um, Speaking of the rain, only Aston Martin and Haas brought intermediate and wet tires, so they were the only ones who could actually go out and drive in the rain because they were in the desert, and it doesn't normally rain in the desert, but it decided to rain in the desert this time, and it was just such a weird. Like, this is like the one time where all of the weird stuff that was going on in testing wasn't the driver's fault. It was like God. God was like, no testing, no normality here, okay? So, um, Lance Stroll didn't get full testing time. He was ill. They said he felt unwell. I'm gonna assume he was ill. So Alonso got extra testing time, is all that really means. And who doesn't love Fernando Alonso? You know what I mean? Uh, McLaren were very hopeful for the season. Hamilton was very hopeful for the season. Leclerc, not so much. But I think he's just used to Ferrari heartbreak over and over and over again. So, and Verstappen was also very in high spirits. He said with with the biggest shit-eating grin you can imagine, the car does everything I want it to do, and everyone's like, "Uh-oh, oh no, that's not what we want to hear. We don't want to hear that. We just freed ourselves from Max Verstappen's reign of terror." And he was like, "No, no, no." So that is the testing review. I'm skipping all sorts of technical stuff that I don't really know enough about to talk about. But basically, if I had to sum it up, McLaren will likely be the fastest with Ferrari in second. And then it's kind of the pecking order from last year will probably stay more or less the same. And so we'll see. We'll see how it all goes. Testing is valuable for the teams. It's not as valuable for the fans because we're not seeing what the teams are specifically testing for. We're not seeing the exact programs they're running. We're not seeing what they're trying to get out of it. We just get we just get times, and that's all we can do, and we can only really do so much with that. But it is definitely necessary. So don't get me wrong on that. So that's testing. Anything else? Anything else you'd like to know about testing?
No,
All right, moving.
he says hesitantly.
Oh well, if something comes up, let me know, and we'll bring it up next class. Um,
Yes, sir.
Bold season predictions. This is my favorite. Okay, I'm so excited we did this. We're gonna check back on these at the end of the season to see if they come true. Um, Andrew, I think yours is the most likely chance of coming true. So, but I'll start with me. Um, Max Verstappen will surprise everyone and win his fifth drivers' championship in a row. That is my bold prediction. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Verstappen fan. I am a Verstappen fan. I think his parents nailed it with the first name. I don't know, something about the first name. They did a really good job. I really like it. No,
Oh, gee, I wonder why.
no, I think he can do it. I think he's going to shock everyone, and I think he's going to do it. That's my bold prediction. And it's bold. That's why I said bold. You know. Andrew, would you like to? It's written here for the audience to see. But would you like to please share your prediction?
My bold prediction is that someone's getting suspended because of language, and I think it's gonna be Verstappen.
Yes, Andrew said one to two drivers get suspended. I asked him for a name. He said definitely Verstappen.
But I
Um,
also said Magnussen, so there's that too.
yeah, and Magson's not even in driving anymore. I think I could see Yuki. He's got a foul mouth. And
Yuki has a
Hadjar.
foul mouth.
Oh yeah, but I think it's mainly in Japanese. Hadjar has a really like notoriously foul mouth. Like you think Verstappen is bad, Hadjar is like when they announced the the swearing, the fine, and the penalty points for swearing. And then when Racing Bulls, I want to call them V Carb, when AlphaTauri, that's what they should be called. When Racing Bulls announced Hadjar, everyone was like, this guy's losing his entire salary to the swearing fines. So apparently he has a really, really foul mouth. Um,
Interesting.
Nate's prediction was that Red Bull gets knocked out of the top three in the constructors. I called him a hater. For
You
his
can't hate the man for trying though.
I called him a hater for his prediction, but and then Sam said that Antonelli is going to be P3 in the drivers' championship. I like that prediction. I don't think that's going to happen. I like that prediction. I think that's really bold and fun. And if that somehow happens, that would be incredible. Mercedes would have succeeded in replacing Lewis Hamilton if Antonelli gets P3 in the drivers' championship. Um, it would be. I mean, it would just be astounding. Um, I have some other predictions. I think Ferrari will win the constructors, regardless of who wins the drivers. I think Antonelli will outperform Russell, and I think Lawson will survive the whole year in the Red Bull. I call me crazy. And Sam's were, and this is why I made him pick one, mainly the Antonelli one. Alpine P3 in constructors, Norris and Verstappen neck and neck for drivers' championship, and this is verbatim. Hamilton is going to get some hate and go off on social media with two other drivers backing him up. And he predicted that there will be three major crashes. I don't know how much he knows about Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton is very calm on social media. For him to go off on social media, he would definitely have backup from drivers. I don't know what would cause it though. Alpine P3 in constructors, I think, is a crazy. I don't even. I don't think that's possible. And I can see Norris and Verstappen going neck and neck for drivers, but I think Antonelli P3 of all those predictions is the most fun.
I'd agree with that.
So that's it. Short and sweet, only 30 minutes, totally fine. Maybe I'm going to try and keep these to 30, 45 minutes. I think that's the sweet spot. Um, that way it doesn't drag out too long. Uh, we can kind of rush, not like rush, but go through everything and still feel like we have time to relax for the night. And play Monster Hunter. Which is what we've been playing lately.
The guild authorizes you.
Exactly. All right. So I have part of the Australia stuff written up. I'm gonna wait until next week though. So that's it. That's all I have. Any questions about anything F101 related or F1? Um, Anything you want me to recover, like re-go over, or anything I didn't cover that you want to know?
Nope, I don't think so.
All right.
I'll probably have questions next week after I actually start, making my predictions and go, I don't remember anything.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, Actually, let me read you out some things while I have you here, while you still have some time. Um, I have made okay, so for F101, I have gotten uh tallied how many times each driver was picked for first, second, third place. For example, Verstappen was picked 47 times, 14 by you and Sam, 12 by me, 7 by Nate. Uh, Piastri, Nate is the only person to not have picked Piastri. You and Nate were the only two to not pick Piastri to win a race all year. Um, and you won it all last year.
I did.
Um, did you know that you had a 37.5% accuracy rate for guessing first place? You had 9 out of 23 correct. Or a
You
24
know,
correct, I'm sorry, which is
if,
crazy. Sam, though, had 8, which is even crazier. I had 5. You also had the most second places correct with 3. Nate also had 3. Sam had 2. I had 1. And you got the most third places correct with 6. Sam had 4. Nate had 3. I had 2. And you got 2 perfect weekends. Sam got 1 perfect weekend.
think Nate got a perfect weekend too.
I don't believe he did.
I thought he and I had the same picks one week.
Maybe, but I
Maybe,
don't believe it was for a perfect weekend. I can check.
maybe it
But
might be.
oh, he did. He did. He had week 2. My bad. Well, it's easy. We just
Yeah,
changed that right there. So I was the only one to not get a perfect weekend, huh? Man, I
yeah.
suck. What am I doing? I'm guiding others to a treasure I can't possess.
You got to lock in, man.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I have changed. I have a new document for Pick the Podium 2025. Or I'm
Okay,
sorry, no, I'm a liar. It's the same document. It's just on a different page.
okay, cool.
And I have now added a red colored bar for the totals, so it'll hopefully be easier to separate week by week. Um,
Gotcha. Okay.
so that's Pick the Podium. We'll deal that. We'll deal with that next week. Um, Thank you for being here. Thank you for participating, letting me ramble about F1. Um, I'm excited for this year, especially for that race in Austin. Super pumped for that. It'll be a good time. And this will be a good year. I think it'll be fun to start to get people to watch the races. Maybe for one of the afternoon races, we can get together as a group to watch one of them. It's usually during football season too, is when the afternoon races are. So, we pair it with a little football. It could be fun.
There's no afternoon races early on, is there?
I don't believe so. Actually, let me check. I'm gonna check on my phone just because it'll be easier because I have the app.
Because I'm probably
Miami,
gonna end up.
May 2nd is at 4 p.m. That is the only that's the
We
only
might
one.
could do something then.
Yeah.
I'll have just moved into my new apartment.
My birthday weekend, Monaco. Oh, never mind. It's at 9 a.m. Never mind. So the afternoon races are Miami, Austin, which we'll be at. Mexico is the week after. Austin, it's at 4 p.m. We'll probably be sick of each other by then, though. That'll. Uh, the week after, 2 weeks after that is Brazil, which is at noon. Which is kind of perfect actually, because that's November 7th through that's November 9th. That's November football. Uh, Races at 12. You end it, and then when the race ends, you're 30 minutes into the 1 o'clock games. Could be fun. Vegas is at 11 p.m. Never mind. And so that's it.
No, man.
So it's not too many options. That's the problem with living on the East Coast. But at least it's not like the West Coast, where all the 9 a.m. races are at 6 a.m., which sucks. So we'll figure it out. At the very least, we're seeing a race together in person.
I'm excited for that race.
It'll be so good.
I told my parents we were going, and my dad looked and he was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Because we wanted to." What?
Yeah, we wanted to. It's fun. You can tell I forced everyone in the friend group to get into F1. I
I
feel like
mean,
he'd be proud
you
of me
did.
for that. He'd be like, finally, Max showed some initiative.
I should have said that. Oh man, he'd get a kick out of that.
Yeah, let him know. Pass it on.
Will do.
Next time you see the guy. All right, thank you. That'll be the end of F101 week 1. I guess it's week point 0.5 technically. We'll call it week point
Oh,
0.5.
week 0.
Week 0. We'll call it week 0. Week 0. F101 syllabus week. And much like every other syllabus week, half the class isn't here. Um Yes,
Oh,
so
yeah,
Wednesday nights, it'll likely be just me and you for the first couple. Sam
probably.
has class, Nate works, but figure it out and it'll be fun. And we'll do pick the podium, which is what everyone's the most excited for anyway. So it'll be good. Thank you for watching. If you're watching this in the future, I appreciate it. If this is on YouTube, leave a comment. Let me know your bold prediction for the season. Uh Thank you and goodbye.